I really see them getting into something like a next generation HoloLens or having experience rooms. Okay, so maybe you don't build out these whole spaces every year to show something else. Instead, you have a blank space that's outfitted for the next generation HTC Vive that you can bring clients in at any moment and walk them through all sorts of experiences when they come to you. I really see that being a way forward, or having a room full of HoloLenses and again an experience room that it's meant to be a blank canvas to show off different products. And then therefore all of a sudden things feel super connected. So if you have a large scale turbine that's being built in South Carolina, but you have offices all over the world, if every office has a conference room that's outfitted like you would for a conference room for video conferencing, you also have a blank experience room, kind of like what we're showing off here, then you can show different things to different clients. I think that's how we're going to go in every office building, even a co-working space might have an experience room for different, the smaller businesses to come in and show off their ideas to clients. That's one of the biggest questions that we have is like, okay, we've got this really great new technology, but how viable is it as a business? Well, the thing about it is that what I've learned is most clients don't understand how it can be used. A lot of times when they hear about augmented reality or virtual reality, they either think of a game like Pokemon Go, or they think of a roller coaster ride. We've all seen you put on the VR goggles and you ride the roller coaster and it's over. But we've actually been able to do some research, working also with our experience, working with clients and seeing what the need is, and saw ways that we can have a viable business using VR. As the price of computers get lower, as consumers get more used to that type of technology, we see ways that, for example, with the architectural renderings, we can do walkthroughs of spaces before you build it. And we're also able to create templates and create different, how do I put this? Be able to bring the price down of development because we're using things that already exist to sort of put it together, so you don't have the same amount of time to be able to put together, for example, an architectural rendering of doing basically a site visit before you actually build it. Which a lot of clients find incredibly useful, because there have been times when you've looked at a blueprint, you've looked at a plan, you thought it was going to work, and then when you finally see it and you walk through it, you realize, I wish we would have had that a little bigger or a different color. And then also on the creative side, sometimes you had a creative idea that maybe you were having a tough time explaining to a client because it's just so abstract, but then you have them walk through it in virtual reality and it makes total sense in that creativity. And then also having the ability to teach with augmented reality and things like that, it really shows how it can actually bring the cost down of certain things. We've been talking with certain clients that might have a large turbine or a jet engine, which we actually have a jet engine example here. We're bringing the jet, the codes, the safety of bringing a jet, the amount of space you might need in the booth to have that jet there, it completely is eliminated when you're using VR, and you can have the jet there and you can talk about it along with other colleagues and have discussions, because it actually feels like it's there and it's life size, it's in your face. So we've seen a lot of great traction here, and that's the great part about coming to InfoComm, is that you meet other people who are like-minded, you start connecting dots that you never would have connected, and really figure out creative ways to push the business forward. Well, first of all, I've worked in the film industry, I've worked in the arts. And one thing I've learned is things become more or less popular, but things don't ever really go away. People were afraid that radio was going to go away or TV was going to go away, and said we just had a TV renaissance. And I think just because we have this new technology coming in, it doesn't necessarily mean some of these other AV device products go away. There just might be a room that's really well lit and well outfitted that also dims down to do an AR experience. We need to embrace new technology and find specific things that are right for it. Sometimes things die because we decide everything's right for it, but actually there are only a few things that are absolutely perfect for VR, such as architectural walkthroughs, such as certain educational things. And then other things, you're still going to want to have the real life thing in front of you. You're still going to want to have that great experience, or you want to have that LED wall. You're still going to want that. And I think when we go in to talk about different clients and different industries and just educate them on what would fit best for their particular need and what story they're trying to tell, I think that's going to be the best. And also, most of the best stories I've seen tend to incorporate a little bit of everything. You have your augmented reality journey, you have your mock-up, you make your model at some point. And so, yeah, I would just say, embrace, learn about the new technology, but realize it's just going to add more to the toolbox. The thing about the VR world is that to get that really great VR, you need to have a very powerful technology, and that technology tends to not be cheap. For example, if you have an HTC Vive where a person can walk around the room scale, you're talking about getting a gaming laptop that can start at $1,500. And then the actual headset and the HMDs themselves, which are at $800, $900. So you're talking about a $2,500, $2,600 investment just to get a basic powerhouse to do that. So as the price goes down, and we see that happening with Google Daydream, we see that happening with the Samsung Gear 360, but also in the innovation of smartphones, we really see that as being the equalizer. And where you're able to get smartphones having the type of graphics power that will allow for this fully immersive VR experience, as well as the pixel density on the phones, because then you have the same clarity as like the HTC Vive. Then we see that really coming to market as something that there's a lot of value to it, and also getting consumers used to using that technology. The reason why augmented reality is really popular now is because you whip the phone out, you're used to looking at your phone and not putting another device in or another headset in. So that's also a thing, training the user. The way we make content in VR and AR is quickly accelerating, and the price is going down because more and more products that help build, bridge that gap that we used to spend a lot of time researching and developing of how we're going to do it. Just for example, 3 years ago when I started in VR, we had 4 or 5 different apps that we had to go to stitch all the GoPros together to make a round equirectangular image. And now more and more cameras are coming out that are stitching as you're shooting. And then you have editing softwares that are coming out with the ability natively to edit virtual reality content. So all of a sudden editing a VR video is like editing a regular video. It's coming in stitched, your editing software can encode it, and then you can export it out to something like a YouTube 360 that can readily watch it. And I think as we have more and more of that, like Apple's Apple's AR kit that seems to already have pre-built the ability to have models and flick them onto a space. We don't have to do the coding of how to look for the triangulation of different things. It's already doing that built into the system. And the more and more we have that hard work being templatized, so to speak, the quicker to be able to put out products, and then that time of being able to put out more and more content, or being able to kit bash different content together to make your custom app, is going to make it where the price goes lower and lower, which is good for everybody because it means not only can more people buy into AR content, but more people can also start making it. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. Next year, the big thing is really augmented reality, and that's really being pushed forward with other consumer companies like Apple, and really stepping in full force into that. Because a lot of times what people see is they see these technologies and they think, oh, was that a one-off? Am I only buying that for the 3-day of a conference or a 3-day of a live event or a week of a live event? But now that consumers, almost every consumer will have a product in their pocket that is natively augmented reality ready, then we can see more and more ideas of, I like to use the movie analogy where you have the big wide release in theaters, but you're going to make most of your use out of it in the home video and the rental market. And that's kind of how we see augmented reality happening. And I think more and more as companies embrace that level of deeper learning, it's just going to be a big year for that.